Ladies and gentlemen, hello and welcome to a very special episode 4 of Moving the Goalpost. I am your host, Danny Mills. With me tonight is an absolute demon, Dennis Brinn. Donnie, how we doing tonight?
Hey, man, I'm just kicking it. I'm a new dad living life.
Awesome, man. So me and Donnie, we've been good friends now for probably about 8, 9 years. Very similar actually to Morty and I. Donnie's actually one of the main reasons I got into home leagues and fantasy football probably about 6, 7 years ago at this point. We shared a couple leagues together for a good while. I know last year he continued his dominance in his home leagues, and he also joined a shitload of Yahoo public leagues, definitely more than anybody that I know. But with that being
Too
said,
many, too many.
with that being said, I'll let Donnie tell you a little bit about himself, and then tonight we're gonna hop into a full PPR home league mock draft and just kind of go through some of the picks and some of our thoughts, who we're targeting. This will be interesting because Donnie and I talked a little bit, but we haven't gone in depth very much on who we're targeting this year. So it should be a neat stream, and I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I appreciate you having me on. Thanks for inviting me out. I'm in full support of moving the goalposts. I love what you guys are doing. But yeah, no, just you're too kind. A little bit about me. I just got 15 years. I've been doing fantasy football for pretty much 15 years since I was like 17, 18 years old. Um, you know, And I am someone who stays alive the whole year. So even if, I've probably had 3, 4 years where I lose my first pick within the first round or two, and then, I'm still in it at the end of the year because, I'm always wheeling and dealing. I'm the Jordan Belfort of home leagues, I like to say.
I would absolutely agree with that. Um, did you want to go ahead and let's see what this randomizer is going to hit us with for this
Yeah, yeah,
mock draft?
yeah. Let me fire the draft up. We're on random pick order. So let's both pray for the 1-1. Um, it didn't start. There it goes.
Oh,
Um, you are the
okay.
112. I am the 1-2.
So this will be interesting because, as we were talking about right before we started, I've been on underdog almost all year, which is half PPR and
Yep.
very, very wide receiver heavy. So I'm interested to kind of see how this falls. Did you want to explain just a little bit? Because this is a neat concept for people who, if they want to come in, they want to do some mock drafts for their home leagues. As everything starts to warm up and everybody starts to get their invites and gets their picks position. This is a little bit different than Yahoo. You just want to talk about kind of what we're on and what the tool is.
Yeah. So this is Fantasy Pros. If you listen to anything fantasy podcast related or any type of fantasy football content, you probably know who Fantasy Pros is. So fantasypros.com is a great draft simulator tool where it's basically an algorithm based thing. Um, where there's out of they compile mock drafts between the experts and they use that data to project picks based on each spot. So you can do, for example, me and Danny are in this draft together. You can do it by yourself and choose your position, choose how many teams you want in the league, how many if you want, the standard build like one quarterback, two wide receivers, two running backs. You can make it three wide receivers or three running backs or three flexes or 10 flexes if you wanted to. But you know, it just gets you past like I like to say the firewall of waiting in a mock draft lobby and then people leave after their first three picks and you never really get to see it fully, fully all the way to the end. You know what I mean? It's just it allows you to get a lot more reps. And since I found this, it's been a very, very useful tool.
Yeah, and I think it'll be neat too, especially if you have specific players that you want to target. You can go in and kind of see what it looks like or what you're able to build around that specific player to see what you're able to get, um, which is a pretty neat feature in that regard too. So I'm ready, man. I'm excited. You're up on the 102. You want to talk about just kind of where you're at, and again, this is full PPR.
Yep, this is full point PPR. Oh, and this is 1 2 2 1 2 flex. So it's standard except 2 flex. And yeah, so in my dream spot in a 10 or 12 man double flex is honestly the 1 4, because if I get CMC, Jamar Chase, Justin Jefferson, or Austin Eckler, I'm perfectly okay with that. Even you could probably throw in a little Cooper Cup in there, or some Tyreek Hill, and I really wouldn't be that disappointed with like the 1 5 or 1 6, um, because like some of the builds that I've seen thus far, um, you know when you're coming back in the second round, you still have a legitimate chance at players like AJ Brown, um, Nick Chubb, Garrett Wilson. I prefer the 1 4. The That would be my dream spot. But like I said, if 1 1 1 2 1 3 1 4, that's fine with me. So if I'm 1 1 though, and I'm this would be 3 years in a row I would have gotten the 1 1 in a home league, and I'm still going CMC. I'm a CMC lover, always have been, always will be. So yeah, I'm probably gonna do with this spot and this particular pick right here. I'm gonna take CMC, and we'll see what happens on the comeback.
Yeah, that was going to be my question for you is who you would take at the one spot. I know last year we were big on CMC. We rolled the dice. I had a lot, all my CMC and Kelsey teams absolutely smashed last year. It's hard to kind of get that
Yep.
set up this year, but um,
Yeah, it's not happening this year, unfortunately.
all right. So let's take a look at it. Donnie goes CMC at 3 goes JJ. Good choice. Cooper Cup goes to 4. Tyreek Hill at 5. Eckler goes 6. Kelsey 7. CD at 8. Okay, it's
Yeah,
a little different.
that's definitely the only one that kind of stood out to me was the CD. Not that it's super far early, but yeah.
Then we have Devontae at 110 and Diggs at 111. And now I'm on the turn at 112. Um, this is where I'm probably a little bit behind the ball because I don't have all of the ADPs for like where Hertz is currently going in the top
Well, if
tier.
you that's another good thing about this tool. On the left-hand side, do you see the rankings? Like this is
Oh, there they are. Okay, okay, that's what.
yep.
Yeah, perfect. Okay, so we got
This is the
Devontae.
Fantasy Pros rankings, and you can, generally they're pretty similar to a lot of like Yahoo's or ESPN's or whoever's, but you can use that as like a guideline if you don't have your rankings, or your go-to ADP up.
So, as I'm looking, I see Hertz is around 33. Because initially I was thinking with AJ on the board, I would just take AJ Hertz and kind of take that connection right from the gate, especially for a home league. Um,
That was
but
my baby last year.
AJ, yeah, but it's recommending Bijan. I'm huge on Bijan. I personally think Bijan's up there with Barkley. His rookie year, Barkley's rookie year took me to my first championship ever in a home league. So I'm gonna go.
Hmm.
I'm gonna roll the dice. I'm gonna take Bijan first, kind of anchor my backfield, and then I'm gonna take AJ and see if I can get a fall with Hertz. Let's take a look at the board.
That's interesting. Pat Mahomes at the 2 4.
And then you have Chubb, Jacobs at the 2-6, Pollard, St. Brown, Wilson, Debo. I would imagine if we were drafting right now, Jacobs probably wouldn't go at the 2-6 with the news that just came out of him flying out of Vegas and his big contract dispute. I think he may be dropping a little bit. I mean, you've been doing a little bit more of these mocks than I have. What have you been seeing with him? He's been going in the second round pretty steadily.
Yeah, he was going at the end of the first, middle of the first. I'd say like 1/6 to 112 range. And this is where he has fallen to in the small amount of time that I have, you know, done these since that news has come out. Um, but yeah, I think that this happens so frequently. It's just one of those things. Like if he plays, and you took him in the second round, you possibly have a league winner. If his ADP falls even farther, personally, I'm not buying Jacobs. Um, I just, I'm big on like TD regression and for that situation in particular, their offense was pretty explosive with David Carr, Devontae Adams, and Waller being hurt a lot of last year. But they always had a lot of threats, and you never really saw too many stacked boxes with Josh Jacobs last year. I think with Jimmy Garoppolo possibly leading the charge, I feel like their passing attack is going to be much less of a threat. So I feel like Josh Jacobs is going to see a lot more stacked boxes. So with that, and also the contract dispute, I'm if he falls to like if he fell to me here, I would consider it, but I'm still not happy about it.
Right. You don't feel good clicking him in the moment.
Not at all. Not at all. He's way down my rankings. But yeah, uh,
Okay.
the rest of these are pretty standard I think at this point. From what I've seen so far, Debo might be a little high. Pat Mahomes is definitely high. Um, but you probably will see some, in a lot of these home leagues, people always jump for players. And that's just, they like their guys and that they just want that person on their team for that year, whether they win or lose.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, there's always that one person who takes the elite quarterback within the first two rounds.
Yep. Yep. And, that's fine because, all it takes is one sleeper pick in the 10th, 11th, 12th round to be a, top 5 or top 10 candidate. And, it saved their early round jump. But okay, so with the players that I see on the board, the top suggestions according to the Fantasy Pros is Stevenson, Jalen Waddle, Chris Olave, Devonta Smith, T. Higgins, Mark Andrews. I just to give a quick rundown on where I'm at with on those players. With Stevenson, I think Stevenson's gonna have a very similar year. Maybe a little bit regression. I think he had 250-ish PPR points last year. I would probably put him around a 15 point a game guy pretty steadily this year. So I'm higher on Waddle and T. Higgins than Ramondre at this point. Personally, I think um, Tua will stay healthy this year, and I think they're going to have the highest volume of passing attacks of any offense this year. At least top three, most likely. And in my opinion, so I'm pretty high on Jalen Waddle. So I'm going to with Team One taking Jamar Chase. I'm fairly certain that in that spot they're probably going to go Ramondre, so I'm probably going to lose him. They'll probably go Ramondre and like Chris Olave, and then I'll possibly get my two guys. If I don't get T. Higgins and Jalen Waddle, then I will be targeting Jalen Waddle and Mark Andrews. So I'm gonna take Jalen Waddle here. Oh, wow, neither
Oh,
one.
neither. Josh and Brees.
Yep, and that's okay. Now at this point, I'm pretty much forced into taking Ramondre. For my rankings. Um, and see, this is the interesting thing about double flex or three wide receivers type of thing, or in full PPR, wide receivers have become like so like much more valuable than even 5 years ago. So for me to have, your RB1 and RB2, and there is a lot of mid-level receivers that I'm going to be able to get to put behind Waddle. So I'm pretty confident in saying that Christian, CMC, and Ramondre are going to be my RB1 too, and see what I can get. Um, you know, we're looking. This is, let's see, 411 is 47 and the 50. So 47 and 50. The guys who should be there are Terry McLaurin, Jerry Judy, Christian Watson, and those type of guys.
N-
And
Not bad
I'm
wide
okay with
receivers
a
to come
lot of
back.
those.
Yeah, not bad wide receivers to come back with at all.
Yep. All right, so I'm just gonna take Ramondre and see what happens.
And there goes Hurts. I knew it when the first two went. So we got Hurts right after Ramondre, Mark Andrews at the 304, Najee, Chris Olave, Devontae Smith, Jameer Gibbs, Joe Mixon, Calvin Ridley, Keenan Allen.
That's absurd. T. Higgins still on the board.
Yeah, T. Higgins and DK. So last year was the first year that I really, at towards the end of August, got pretty heavy into best ball and kind of understanding that strategy of like zero RB, hero RB, things of that nature. And in all my home leagues, all six, I ran, I guess maybe like a hero RB or a zero RB, and the advance rate was fairly decent. The tough part was navigating through injuries and getting to the end of the year and not really having solidified anchor backs. So
Yep.
this year, I'm definitely looking forward to. I think I'm going to go a little bit, with that anchor back or at least hero RB. I think because the wide receivers are rising, it allows you to take your second and third or second RB in the fifth or sixth round, which is a little bit different than last year too. Um, I don't have to spend much time on this. I'm going to go off ADP. I love Higgins. I love DK. I think the Seahawks are going to have a huge year this year. Gino finished top 10 last year for fantasy. I think he's definitely going to repeat that if he doesn't crack the top five. He has some serious weapons around him.
Oh
Um,
yeah.
Kenneth Walker is I'm all in on him. How do you feel about the Seahawks and T Higgins and DK?
Um, T. Higgins is another one that I personally think is going to be in. I think Joe Burrow has upside for an MVP candidate season. Um, I think that T. Higgins is I don't want to say underrated because I think people know he's good, but I don't think people know that he's as good as he actually is because he is off the field, quite a bit. So if the guy stays healthy, I don't see him posting less than 1,200, 1,300, and 10 touchdowns
No, and I'm pretty.
because of the volume that Joe Burrow's going to throw the ball this year.
Yeah, their pass rate is absolutely insane, and I'm pretty sure, or fairly certain, I don't have the exact numbers in front of us as we're looking at it, but T. Higgins and Chase in full PPR, they're really not that far off for points per game, targets per game, A dot, um, and average score per game for PPR.
Yep, I love T Higgins. I'm all in on T Higgins this year. DK, my thing with the Seahawks and Kenneth Walker, I do like Kenneth Walker, and I'm not sure why they have him down there at 50. I'm a little bit lower on Kenneth Walker than some, um, just based on the fact that like if the Seahawks do regress, um, you know, if Gino doesn't have an outstanding season like he did last year, then who's going to be the direct, who's going to be directly impacted by that? You obviously your pass catchers, but also like your running attack is going to be your star running back Kenneth Walker is going to be pressured a lot more. They're going to stack a lot more boxes if Gino can't throw the ball, and then he's not going to be able to run, and it just creates a trickle down effect. But DK at the 4-1, I'm all in.
Yeah, DK at the 4-1. I'm definitely in on that. So after DK 4-2, we got ETN, who in a lot of my best ball drafts, he's been dropping pretty deep now. TJ Hawkinson, as he ETN starting to drop, I think, because he's dealing with a pretty imminent threat with Tank Bigsby taking a decent chunk, some playing time from him. We have Amari Cooper, Aaron Jones, and then we have I would say the last tier of the elite quarterbacks come off of the board. We got Joe Burrow and LJ, Lamar Jackson himself, Mr. Chris Godwin, and then Damian Pierce, which would be a little interesting to me. And at the 410, we got J.K. Dobbins, which leaves Donnie coming back up at the 411. And I think, yeah, you about called it. Who would be left around this time for you?
Yep, these are the guys that I feel like Scary Terry. Can't go wrong with him. He's just a consistent producer with no matter who's throwing the ball. It's like Mike Evans, dude just puts up numbers every year. Drake London, I'm not really sure about. Um, I don't know what Desmond Ritter is made of. DJ Moore, I'm not sold on Justin Fields' arm. Um, I think D Hop is going to be perfectly fine. Again, Kenneth Walker is would be another solid pick for me here, but just like you said earlier, the zero or hero RB is for me in a double flex league. I am going every week. I'm trying to put out two running backs, four wide receivers. That's what I'm trying to do every week. So I'm gonna try to go two wide receivers here, at the 411 and the 5-2. And my two highest receivers right here are gonna be Jerry Judy and probably let me check. Do I have D Hop above Scary Terry? No, I have Terry above D Hop. I'm thinking about changing my mind.
I have Terry above D
Now
Hop
I'm
as
big on
well.
yeah, I'm big on Jerry Judy. What are your thoughts on Drake London?
I think, as you just touched on, it really depends on Ritter. But I mean, when Ritter took over last year from Mariota, Drake did have a nice uptick. I mean, he didn't have Kyle Pitts really to compete with when it came to the target share. I think Drake, though, could take that next step if Ritter is remotely more efficient than Mariota. Even with Pitts coming back, I think you have Bijan, Algier. I know a lot of people like completely forget about this kid putting up 22 points a game the last 2 or 3 weeks of the year, but they're going to have an absolute monster backfield, man. And I think they're in a soft ass division that Atlanta could really, really be explosive and take advantage of the NFC South this year. Um, London when he goes. I mean, I'm not reaching for London, but when he goes past ADP, I'm definitely taking him. But when it comes to Atlanta, I mean, Bijan, of course, as I talked on earlier, but Pitts would be a higher focus for me. I have everybody that you're looking at probably above Drake London, including DJ Moore. I think DJ Moore could be, and I hope he is the Stephon Diggs, for Fields. And um, I had a lot of doubt on Fields, and I talked a lot of shit about Fields for about 8 weeks last year, and then like week after week, he just put
Yep,
my foot in my mouth, man, and I was like, and my biggest thing is I'm out on Ohio State quarterbacks because it's like every time they get to the fucking league, it's they're
yep,
they're done within 2 or 3 years. So
yep,
I'm not going to talk shit on CJ Stroud this year. I love Nico Collins, so I'll leave Ohio State quarterbacks alone. But for me personally, I would probably take either I would probably take Scary first and then hope Judy's there on the comeback.
Yeah, and see, I can get behind that. I personally have Jerry Judy a little bit higher than Terry, but I'm not. Judy's the guy that I'm targeting out of this group right here, and I'm gonna take him and then hope Terry's there on the way back. But if I do land D Hop or if I do land D Hop instead of Terry, that would just be a travesty if D Hop and Terry go, but it's just very unlikely. Um, so yeah, I'm gonna go Judy.
Oh,
And then both of them are there.
yeah, you're getting lucky with
So
that tonight.
yeah, it's not a bad team. A bad start for Team One though. Jamar Chase, Josh Allen, Brees Hall, Kenneth Walker, and George Kittle. It's I personally I'm not taking Kittle that high. I think, but yeah, it's not a bad start for them. Yeah, I'm just I don't think that Cortland Sutton is going to play a very big role in the offense. I feel like Jerry Judy and Russ had a better connection last year than him and Cortland Sutton. Even though, like, I had Cortland Sutton in probably 7 out of 10 leagues last year, and he just disappointed me week after week after week. So I'm off the Cortland Sutton train. I'm on the Jerry Judy train this year. So yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go Terry there.
Scary Terry, my man. Okay, so this is, I mean, it's definitely falling different than I had imagined. So we have Donnie going with Scary Terry at the 502, Darren Waller at the 503, Hopkins, Fields, Deontay Johnson, London, DJ Moore, Christian Watson, Miles Sanders, and Christian Kirk at the 511, which leaves me up at the 512. Which leaves me in a tough
Where is
spot.
Danny going here? Yeah, I was just looking at the rankings, and I don't even know what I would do.
This is tough,
Like, do you want to
man, and
stack DK and Tyler Lockett?
that's what I'm looking at. If I want to stack Lockett, um, if I want to honestly bring back Ayuk for the little divisional stack with Cam Akers in the divisional stack, so I can kind of have that second running back, or because we're doing a double flex, I really think I'm going to end up going Justin Herbert, the big $262.5 million man, and Big Mike.
Millions.
Yeah, millions.
No, I like that. I love Big Mike and Justin Herbert. I love Ayuk. Um, not I don't know how people have Michael Pittman even remotely where he is. I'm I'm all the way out. I have him in the dumpster behind my work building.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't think I mean, people probably are going to disagree with the take, but I was talking to a friend. I'm like, when's the last time a rookie quarterback has really dominated or had like this wild great fantasy year? I mean, Herbert's rookie year was decent, and then like when I looked it up, the last person who like even remotely close, I think, came in the top 10 for fantasy was Cam Newton in his rookie
Yep.
year.
Yep.
Anthony Richardson is going to, I don't even know if he's going to
Ye-
start. I know they said he's going to start, but I think when they like kind of start to evaluate and really see what they have, it may be like Gardner should probably start the first couple weeks.
Yeah, I saw something not long ago that they're going to be splitting first team snaps to start camp. And even with if Gardner starts, it's the same story for Pittman. I mean, pretty much down to like um
I would take Pittman out of the dumpster if Minshew started, honestly.
Yeah, I would I'd take him out of the dumpster too, but I'm still probably higher on like Pickens than Michael Pittman,
I'm definitely higher on Pickens than Pittman. I mean,
just because I just don't see how that team is going to put up, more than like 19 points a game this year at best, with Gardner Minshew or Richardson. And if Richardson starts, it's even worse for Pittman because Richardson is going to be a prototypical um, NFL rookie who has the ability to run the ball. Look what Jalen Hurts did. Look what even Josh Allen did his first couple of years. Ran everywhere. Lamar Jackson ran everywhere. Justin Fields ran everywhere. The dude's a physical specimen. He's going to run the ball. That's going to be their best chance of winning games. RPOs, and it's going to be a very, very low completion rate his first year. I like the guy though.
yeah, I like him too. I'm not, and he could absolutely develop. I mean, he is, as you just said, a freak of an athlete. Um, and when he gets in the open field, I'm sure he's taken off to the house. But uh, I mean, everything you just touched on is the exact reason I probably Indianapolis is probably one of my lowest ownership of wide receivers, and Pittman probably has to fall about 10, 15 spots past ADP before I'm even seeing him on my
Yep.
board.
Yep.
Okay, so jumping back, I'm actually, because it's a home league and we're playing a little bit and it's the double flex, I'm actually going to take the division stack. I'm going to leave Lockett up there. In home leagues, I'm not the biggest fan of a two wide receiver. If anything, I don't mind wide receiver tight end on the same team. But I think you kind of
Agreed.
get dependent on them having to put up double digits together, which depending on the game, can be tough to do. So I'm gonna go Ayuk, who his wide receiver profile is pretty stud like, especially against man coverage last year. And then I'm gonna buy in on Cam Akers, 2 years removed from the Achilles. Prior to the Achilles, he was a first round, probably early second round draft pick that year. So 2 years removed, Rams are trying to put it back together just a little bit, but I'm gonna bet on his workload and him getting back a little bit normal. And then after Akers, we have Madison going off the board, which is a good pick in my opinion. Then we have Lockett, Swift, Trevor Lawrence, who I absolutely love this year. I think he's gonna hit some home runs. Rashad White, our boy Michael Pittman, Dalvin Cook, which okay, we'll say he auto drafted. Marquise Brown, Mike Williams, old Big Mike. I hope his back is healed because I have a lot of him. How you feeling about the Chargers and Big Mike and Keenan and all of those guys?
I think the Chargers are going to be the Chargers. They've been the same team since Philip Rivers went there. They have great receivers. They had Vincent Jackson, from Vincent Jackson all the way up to Keenan Allen. They've always had great receivers, above average quarterback play. They put up a lot of points. They give up a lot of points. They win 10 games. They either make the playoffs and lose in the first round or just miss the playoffs. I think that Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Austin Eckler, all of those guys are very very uh, likely to finish, excuse me, not very likely. They have the possibility to finish in the top 10 or top 5 at their respective position. I mean, what was it last year or was it the year before? Big Mike was like the first like 5 weeks of the season, he went for like close to 100 and 150 points.
I want to say the year
Get
before because I had Herbert and Big Mike in one league last year, and I don't feel like he put up 150 in the first 5 weeks.
it was something outrageous. Let me I don't know, it's not important. But yeah, all in all, the Chargers are going to be the Chargers. Justin Herbert is going to ball out. Um, and yeah, they're a solid team. They're always going to put up a lot of points. They have a ton of weapons, and they're going to have to put up a lot of points because if their defense wasn't good last year, I don't know how it's going to be good.
Now,
But
when
anyway,
really quick, as
go
you're
ahead.
as you're coming up on the 6-11, and I'm looking at the rankings, is it when it says tier 6 and tier 7? Is that my next pick, or is that just the tier of players that they have?
Nope. That's just the tier of players that they have for the rankings.
Okay, got it.
So if you hover over 712, it'll tell you pick 84.
Okay, got you.
And then you can pretty much guess that all of the guys in that area are going to be, okay, so I don't really like in this instance, let me see who I have. So personally, I have Herbert. My quarterback rankings are all tier one is Pat, Josh, Jalen Hurts, and Joe Burrow. And my tier two is Lamar, Trevor, then Herbert. Then I have Fields under that in tier three. So if Trevor Lawrence and Justin Fields are already gone, um, I think that I am going to take Herbert here. I wasn't originally planning to do that, but being that he is here, it's kind of one of those situations where you go into it with a plan and then, it just someone spoils your plan. Um, so I think I'm going to take Herbert here, but looking at team one. So again, going back to the fact that I want to be two running backs, four wide receivers every week, and looking at team one, they already have a quarterback, so I'm not going to take Herbert here. I'm going to take Herbert on the comeback, and I'm going to take the wide receiver that I want because they're likely to take a wide receiver with possibly both of their next two picks. And let's see the drop offs. So my highest ranked receiver right here. Um, I'm still not sure about Mike Evans because Baker has never if there was anybody that Baker can support, it's Mike Evans because Mike Evans has always had shitty quarterbacks, um, pretty much his whole career besides Brady, and he's put up 1,000 yards for like a million straight seasons. So I would probably say that he is my highest receiver on the board right here, um, followed by Pickens and then Addison. No, followed by Pickens and then Dotson. Um, so yeah,
Okay.
if if Team One didn't have a quarterback, I would take Justin Herbert right here. But I'm going to take Mike Evans and then Justin Herbert on the comeback.
Ooh,
Yep,
he did go
Pickens
double
and then
wide out.
Dotson.
Ooh.
All right. Um, yeah. So I'm just gonna take Herbert and shut my mouth.
He went up a little bit for Pickens. I was hoping Pickens would come back for the Week 17 matchup with DK. And then Donnie goes Justin Herbert. Then we have Traylon Burks, Alvin Kamara, Jackson Smith Najigba, Kadarius Toney, who, if you haven't heard yet, just had surgery on his knee. So he's starting to fall a lot. Jordan Addison, he's probably looking at a game suspension maybe for doing 140, even though his dog was sick. James Conner, Juju Smith Schuster at the 709,
Messed
Cortland
up, man.
Sutton.
Messed
That's
up. He was just trying to save his dog.
yeah, that's what he said. Trying to get home from a pup. And then we have
I'm sorry.
Mr.
Continue.
Dallas Goddard at the 711. So this is going to be this will be fairly simple for me. I have my 2 and 4, as Donnie was touching on, two running backs, four wideouts. That's what I prefer to run as well, especially with my flexes. I'm going to take Pitts here. I'm going to pair him with Bijan just for a little stack. Also, I personally, in all home leagues, I do like to get an elite tight end if possible. I was on the bad side of Pitts last year. I think he had literally one game that he might have cracked like 8 or 10 points, and that was
Yep.
it. So I'm gonna roll the dice on him again this year. I'm really trying not to hold a regret when it comes to the guys that I drafted, especially in home leagues last year that uh, typically burned me. I would say like Keenan Allen and the Chargers, as Donnie said, because it's like they get you right to the finish line, and it. I think it was like week 16. Herbert and Mike Williams did almost nothing. I got knocked out of the playoffs, and then championship week, they put up 55 together. That's the Chargers for you. All right,
Yep.
so I'm gonna take Pitts here.
It's an interesting bunch of a group of running backs right there. I have a lot to say about all three of them, but not.
Up
We'll
top,
save that for another day. Yeah.
yeah, Montgomery, Javante, and Isaiah Pacheco.
Yep.
So I was looking to see. Yeah, that's crazy. Gabe's going at 102. All right, so I'm gonna make this pick. I'll say I'll make this final pick, and then when we get back to Donnie, do you want to stop at your pick, or you want to come back around and stop at the 902, and then we'll pick back up and we'll do 8 through
Yeah.
16 tomorrow? Okay.
That works.
Damn, I'm not gonna lie, this is pretty tough, especially for full PPR. I would really like to go
Yeah.
wide receiver again, and I don't.
Yeah. If I'm in your shoes, I'm definitely not jumping for a quarterback just because you don't have one. That's one of the things with home leagues is people like, oh, I don't have this yet. I got to take it now. You know what I mean? Like you got to look at the not you in particular, but people their mindset should start changing when like drop-offs are happening. Like, the running backs available, like no chance they're going to be there when they come back, when it comes back to him. Or the wide receivers there, I think people tend to look at things in the wrong manner as far as like, oh, I'm missing this position. I got to take Deshaun Watson right now.
Yeah, and for me, last year was really the first year that I did not feel the need to fill off of draft position. Meaning, like at this spot coming up, I don't have a quarterback yet. I don't, this is last year was the first year I didn't feel that pressure to be like, okay, I should take quarterback here. So then I just fill out my lineup in a sense.
Yep.
Whereas, I learned, hey, I can wait and get a Geno in the back end. I can get a Tua in the back end. I can get a Daniel Jones in the back end who all finished top 10.
Yep.
I know Josh Allen and, Mahomes and them, they're, of course, a step above with points per week, but it's just not enough separation for me that I would rather have more meat and potatoes for my backs and my receivers. And I think another advantage of best ball is, and the reason I'm going to go Pacheco here is you get so deep with these 18 and 20 pick drafts that for home leagues doing 16 picks is, it's it just makes it easier because at towards the end of your draft you can just pick and choose. You're not really going off of ADP. At least that was my experience last year because the back end guys I knew who I wanted to target, and the other
Yep.
ones that I wanted to target they were left on the waiver wire anyway.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
So I'm gonna take Pacheco. We're gonna see who drops after him.
Oh, both quarterbacks.
3. So 3 quarterbacks go off the board after Isaiah Pacheco. We have Dak Prescott, Deshaun Watson, Brandon Cooks, Michael Thomas, who, if he's healthy this year, I think he could be okay for Carr.
Absolutely.
Javante Williams, Gabe Davis, David Montgomery, and then Danny Jones, who we just touched on, and James Cook at the 8-10.
Yep, I think a lot of this has been pretty standard. There's been a couple outliers that were like, "Whoa, what happened here?" But no, I think the picks have been fairly standard so far.
Yeah, absolutely. I would say, I mean, the funkiest one would definitely be Dalvin at the 608, but outside of that, no. I mean, I feel like, again, this is a great tool that simulates a pretty good mock draft for a home league. I mean, if you don't want to go to a Yahoo and wait for a lobby to fill, or you can't get the exact position that you want, like I said, I mean, you could take your pick, you could build it from there. I think, especially as you touched on the 101 through the 104. You could take a different variation of any of those guys and build a solid team around them. So Yeah, I think this is a great tool to utilize for those that really want to get into it for fantasy football. And with that, you want to make this last pick so we're just even on the board, and then we'll come back with you at the 902.
Yeah, that's fine with me. So I am missing a tight end at this position. However, the best tight ends available are Freiermuth, Ingram, Njoku, Dalton Schultz, Greg Dulcich, Chigakonkwo, and I really don't see a need to take any. I feel like all of them are in the same tier for me. I might have Dulcich on the top of them. I'd probably say I have Dulcich and then Freiermuth and Ingram as the top of that group. Um, I do think the Broncos are going to be better than they were. They have to be better than they were last year. Um, I think Kenny Pickett is going to progress a little bit, so I think Pat Fryermuth, Dulcich, and Evan Ingram are all going to be serviceable. But I don't feel like there's a need to take either one of them at this moment in time because, you know, I it looks like one, two, three, four, five, six, seven people have drafted tight ends thus far. So even if two more of those get taken, I will still get one of the guys that I'm okay with having. So I'm not gonna do that. Um, if, so moving into running backs, not big on Gibson. Um, not really. I'm hopeful for Quentin Johnson, but I just don't know how much more volume can go to beyond Austin Eckler, beyond Keenan Allen, beyond Big Mike. Like I don't know how much more volume will be there. Um, I don't mind Quentin Johnson here, um, and this is kind of like a dead zone spot. I think I'm not really huge on many of these players, and now that I'm looking a little bit deeper into it, um, yeah, this is a tough one.
Yeah, Quentin Johnston at 116 for his ADP is it's wild to me. I think if you take Quentin, I mean, you're kind of hoping that he either gets a pretty decent target share or we hate to put this in the universe, but Keenan Allen has the most brittle hamstring I've ever met in my entire life. So to think that he's going to play
Oh
17
man.
games is I think you're betting on a lot if you're betting on that. I think, and Quentin has looked good, man. The videos of camp of him coming out, I think he's going to be a nice outside receiver for Herbert. But him going at 116, obviously, it's way too early to take him. I agree with what you said on the tight ends. I have Ingram probably higher than Dulcich, but I mean, they're right around each other for me. And then I have Pat. My thing with Pat is, and this is, I'm a Washington fan. I really wanted Washington to draft Darnell Washington out of Georgia. The kid
Yep.
is an absolute athlete and freak of an athlete. They had this video of him. They were at like a camp and he's pushing this sled and the kid is literally just walking it backwards, and then it shows the video of the other tight ends who are like, they're pumping to push this shit backwards. So I think he's going to be more of a threat possibly than what people think for Pat. But Pat will still, he'll still get his. But I agree with you. For me personally, um, I wouldn't go tight end just yet because, as you said, I'm going to get that tier anyway.
Yep, that's exactly where I'm at for tight end. I'm probably just going to stick with the stack receivers at this point. And the guys that are standing out to me at this point in time, I haven't gotten deep enough into the rankings to have a standout pick for me right here. But Bateman is another situation where I don't know how much passing volume is going to be there beyond. I don't know if Bateman is behind Flowers, but I'm, pretty sure he would be behind Odell and Mark Andrews, and they already don't throw the ball very much, so I'm not huge. I would probably say the guy in this tier that they have showing that I'm highest on is Elijah Moore. I think he is going to be a second pass option to Deshaun Watson behind Amari Cooper. I think he's going to jump DPJ in the in the depth chart, I think he's going to be the second best target there. Um, and yeah, I don't have a standout here for me, but out of the guys that are in my face right now, I am saying that Elijah Moore is probably my guy.
Okay, and there we go. And right after, we have Gibson at the 8-12 and Khalil Herbert, who news did just come out on Herbert that he's getting first team reps with Deontay Foreman. Elijah Moore has had a lot of good reports early on in camp. They were saying that he was Deshaun's favorite target. He's going to run out of the slot, but I agree with Donnie. I think even out of the slot, he's going to see probably the second most target share. If anything happens to Cooper or DPJ, Elijah would be the first man up. But he'll compete with Njoku and those things too. Okay, so with that, we walked you guys through picks 1 through 8. And it looks like with us getting ready to sign off, so we're just going to go through the teams very quickly. Donnie went CMC, Jalen Waddle, brought Ramondre, who dropped pretty far for him. Then 3 straight wide receivers. We got Judy, Scary Terry, and Big Mike Evans. And then we have Justin Herbert with Elijah Moore. And then for me, we have Bijan at the 12, AJ on the comeback. Then we have T. Higgins and DK Metcalf, Brandon Ayuk, and Cam Akers for the divisional stack. Kyle Pitts, who we stacked with Bijan, and Isaiah Pacheco, who we just kind of used as a little bit of depth for my running back position. Thank you to everyone who stops by, who takes any time to take a listen, who shows any support. We do greatly appreciate that. For Dennis, I'm Danny, and that's episode 4. Thank you so much. We'll see you soon.
See you tomorrow.